Happy birthday to Prince George, who turns 13 today. That being said, I thought it would be really cool to take a look at some of the royal children that are coming up, growing up, and coming of age in this 5-part series. We're going to break it down. Be right back. Welcome, Tarot fam. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. This series is going to take a look at some of the royal children. Now, I do want to disclaimer this just a little bit. These are children. Typically, I do not read on children or for children for that matter. I get a lot of requests from moms when I read for them. Can you read for my child? If they're under the age of 18, I typically don't. But these children are public persons. And what we're going to do is not invade their private thoughts or predict intimate details of their life. But what we're going to do is look at the archetypal energy, the energy that they are brought into this lifetime with, and how that will benefit or disrupt the future monarchy. So as always, tarot readings are speculative. They're for entertainment only. Please keep that in mind as we have some fun with this. So we are going to be talking about Prince George. Now, he's only 13. But our question is he being readied appropriately to become king? We get to see the heirs apparent when they first come out of the hospital. There's that beautiful process where we see the baby on the Lido Wing steps and they are presented to the public. They also have the public declaration in front of Buckingham Palace. It's a lovely tradition. So let's talk a little bit about how George is going to influence the monarchy. And before we get there, I want to let you know, I do think that William, during his reign and tenure as the monarch, will be modifying the way we look at the royal family. So George is going to inherit something that is very different from what we're seeing right now. He was born on July 22nd, 2013. He is second in line to the throne behind his father, Prince William. His public visibility has been increasing to date, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. We had the adorable video of him and his sister he had the fan, and the fan was in front of his face, and then they found that they had hats under their seat at Wimbledon. Very, very cute little exchange. I love his relationship with his sister. His parents have tried to really protect his childhood, but they are adhering to some of the tried and true ways and means of the royal family. Eton, for example, I believe it's Eton is the sure thing of where he is going to do the rest of his education. At this point, he is approaching the age where his future role is going to become much more tangible. Certainly with the current King Charles III, with his diagnosis of cancer, that became very, very apparent because there may have been some shifting of roles at that point. Fortunately, it does seem that the king is responding very positively to the treatments that have been given to him, and he's been granted a bit more tenure as king. I think this is a happy turn of events, but it did give George the emergency moment where, hey, I may be the Prince of Wales in a hot minute. So at 12, 13 years old, that's a lot of pressure that's coming in. So let's take a look at some of the other business with our Prince George. I'm going to bring up that card view. If you haven't hit the like button yet, go on and give it a poke now. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We do a lot of fun stuff over here. We have a fun community, and it's a great place just to gather and have a giggle and a good time and see what we can see behind the veil. So Let's bring up that card view for you, Tarot Maniacs. So I've got 3 decks today. I've got the Fergus Hall Tarot of the Witches. I cannot get away from this deck for the summer. I have my mini Rider-Waite. This is not the smallest Rider-Waite that I have, but it is one of the smaller. And I also have my mini Llewellyn Classic. I wanted to bring that out today because it is a much sweeter deck than some of my other ones, certainly more sweet than the Fergus Hall. And I just wanted to see what came of our readings with that little sweet deck. So we'll bring it up probably a little bit more for Princess Charlotte in the videos that are coming up. So let's take a look at George. What is George's energy as he enters his adolescence? What kind of energy do we see out of this young man as he enters his adolescence? We're going to use the Fergus Hall for this. Much cooperation out of this guy. He is a balance keeper, even though he's a Leo. And the Star, he's seeing the value in partnerships, cooperative partnerships, and partnerships that lift up each other. So he's seeing the value in that. Good lessons that he's learning from the chaos that is the royal family right now. We've got the 5 of Pentacles. The catalyst is the chaos in the royal family right now. He is seeing that, and he does want to be a good mediator, if you will. So what is his relationship with royal responsibility today? Queen of Coins. He does not know what kind of king he wants to be or what kind of king he will need to be. And this, I'm going to lean back into what I just said about my assertion that William is going to carve out a very different role for the royal family during his reign. I think we're going to see, I've said it before, but if it's your first time here, I think it's going to become more of a business that is passed down from generation to generation, keeping the primary family members involved, not so much these satellite cousins and individuals that are far-flung and perhaps not of the bloodline. Just saying it. So what is the greatest pressure that is surrounding him right now? Again, the idea of where the royal family is going and combating the forces that are counter to the monarchy. Who is that? King of Batons and the Justice card. So I do think that behind the scenes, George is hearing some information, and this isn't to disclose intimacy or intimate conversations. He's hearing about the friction between the ruling government and the royal family and the way that the ruling government looks at the royal family. So I can kind of understand that. I think the pressure to let go of some of that soft power of that the royal family holds is true and apparent. I think we do see that a great deal brewing in other countries, not just the United Kingdom, and in other countries about the amount of power that they do lend to the royal family, royal families. So I think the difference between practical power, if we can call government practical power, and the soft power of the monarchy, the stabilizing power, I think that is the greatest pressure around him, not knowing how that is going to be. What quality could define him as a king? What quality could define him? We're going deep into the deck right here, and that is 9 of Wands. That is the course keeper. He's going to try and maintain the course of transition, and also keeping the information behind the scenes. I think we will see George
duplicating what his parents did, keeping the children's lives private and keeping them out of the public view, and not leveraging the power of a child to inspire joy, favorable opinions toward the monarch. I think George will double down on that. I perhaps all the more so because if we do see the royal family becoming more of an inherited business, stripped down to just a few rock star members, if we do see that, now the defender of the family has a much smaller scope, but a much larger adversary base. So I think that this is an interesting line that he's going to have to walk, because he will have to confirm and echo the stripping down that I believe William is going to do. And he will also have to maintain the privacy and sequestering of his children until they're ready, meaning George's children. So I think, you know, what William is setting up is going to be very difficult for George to provide the same kind of quiet serenity for his children, because there will be a great deal of focus on them, because we're going to be not focused on some satellite family members. So I think that is going to be where he finds some difficulty. Even though this is a quality that will define him, he wants to bring the mystery back to the royal family to a certain extent, but that shrinking of the royal family makes it somewhat difficult. But that's okay. That's okay. You know, I'm sure he will do that. What kind of monarchy will he inherit? So let's see if the cards confirm what I believe is going to happen. Let's see if the cards confirm that. Four of Pentacles. It's not a sure thing. Four of Wands. The immediate family is primary. The Hangman, Seven of Wands, and the Four of Swords. Those that buck the system do not get a second chance. They do not get a second chance. They're not allowed back in. So that, I think, is something that George is going to inherit. I think the family will be determined and assigned, and that's it. We're not coming in and out. We're not half in and half out, if you know what I'm saying. So is George at this point, at the age of 13, young man in the Jewish tradition, he would be a bar mitzvah and a young man ready to take on the world. Is he naturally dutiful, reluctant? What kind of archetypal energy is he bringing in? The Valet of Swords. There is a certain amount of uncertainty around George's energy. And I'm not surprised by this, because he's a young man. He's still figuring it out. You know, I have an 18-year-old and he's still figuring it out too. So 5 years on, you know, you're still figuring it out. Some of us are 55 and still figuring it out. So he cannot yet see, but he is considering what his principles will be. What are the things that he feels most passionately about? Currently, George feels most passionately about the things that most young men of this age would be: football, having a good time, carving out enough time to do your homework and hang out with your friends. He's absolutely doing all of the things that a 13-year-old should be doing. But is he trending more traditional or progressive? What is he trending at this point? More traditional. I think he likes the idea of tradition, and I don't think he wants to see the back of the monarchy. Does he understand that it's all a bit too grand? Yes. One of the things that I think he shares in common with his father is we can't quite see it all. We can't quite go and visit and stay in all of the homes that technically belong to us. We can't, find the needs for every single village and every single county and every single part of the kingdom. But he does want to try. He does want to try. He wants to be good and conscientious and really adhere to more traditionalism. I think he is going to be much more traditional. So do we find that George is a sensitive sort? Do we find him sensitive? Is he sensitive? He's easily convinced. Again, this is going to be because of youthfulness and his openness to discourse and other views. So I do think, I don't want to say that he's sensitive, but he is persuadable. So who has more of an influence, dad or mom? I think dad, he gets to really dude it up with dad. And I think dad treats him very differently as one would to their heir if you were going to be king or queen of a given country or a given kingdom. I think dad really takes him under his wing and is now having increasingly more serious conversations with him, where mom is the pressure relief, where she says, let's bake some cookies and let's have some fun. So I think dad has the bigger influence, but mom is shaping the downtime. Can he separate his own identity from the job? They are one and the same. And this, I do think that they lean very heavily into the legacy, the life and times of the late great Queen Elizabeth, because you are not divested of the job until they take that crown and scepter off your casket. So I think that George understands that he is going to be selfless. And I think the intention is for him to be selfless as he moves into this role. So fun stuff with our George. So ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. A lot of us inherit roles and legacy and purpose from our family. Some of us are caretakers, some of us are peacemakers, some of us are the big achievers, and some are the scapegoats. So George's story, I think, really invites us to see a young man developing into a role. We got to see this with William as well. William's time was a little more chaotic given the circumstances of his mother, but George has the benefit of two parents that are lifting him up. He also has King Charles and Queen Camilla to help lift him up and give him the benefit of their mistakes and their missteps. I think George will have a very rich education because of his father's intimate relationship with the late great Queen Elizabeth. I think the benefit is really trickling down. So I think we're seeing more of her influence as we go into the next generation of the monarchy. George is going to inherit the crown, but we've got some other powerhouses in that family. No monarch succeeds alone. And we can see that with the example of the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, almost called her Queen Anne. We're going to have to take a look at Princess Charlotte in the next video for this. So we're going to ask, is she going to be similar to Princess Anne? Is she going to be the same kind of Princess Royal? She looks like she is. And I'm here for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow with the second installment of this 5-part series. And if you're watching this today, don't forget that at 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be live with the Barnosphere, not reading cards, but we're going to be reading emails from you guys, giving you all dating advice. Tonight, we've got something special cooked up for you. We're going to be talking about traditional roles and toxic masculinity. So if you want to talk about that with us live and some other fun people, meet us over on Barnosphere, Fortune Cookies Tarot, and Love in the End Times channels. We're going to be on all three at 9 o'clock tonight, East Coast time, New York time. So guys, thanks so much. I look forward to the next installment of this. I hope you are, and I'll see you in the future.